Listen, the birdies. Hello, campers, lockdowners. I've not gone back out for my tree hug, and I can't be asked. So, you know how some people are socially awkward and they don't like hugs and stuff? Well, I've actually got a socially awkward tree in my garden. In fact, it's so socially awkward, it's got prickles on it to keep you away, to stop you hugging it. So, this is my yucca tree. It's not a bloody yucca tree, is it? It's a monkey puzzle tree. To be fair, it's 14 years old, that, because my brother brought it me when I moved in. It's got all dandelions in it here, but I used to always get rid of dandelions, as we do. But I'm very aware that they're the first flower that come out in spring to let the bees pollinate. So I never rip them up now. I just let them grow and let them do the stuff. So that's why they're still in there. But yeah, my socially awkward 14-year-old yucca tree, monkey puzzle tree. So I don't know how to cuddle it. I'm going to give it a hug from a distance. May I hug you, beautiful monkey puzzle tree? Oh, 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 it's spiking me already. I'll just, no, it's not having it. It's not having it. I'll just hug a leaf. I'll hug and kiss a leaf. Here we are. That's the same. I'll still get energy off it. And we can listen to the birdies. Listen, I'm lucky I've got a garden. I mean, it's not massive by any stretch out, and it's very low maintenance, as you can see. But it's all right, isn't it? I'm lucky. And it's a right sun trap. It has sun on it all day. And it's not really overlooked, because that's a school. And once I go down here, when I get on my sun lounger, when it comes out, look, can't see anything. I'm lucky. So, yeah, I did say that I was going to talk about I've had a couple of friends. Let's see, I've got a bit of greenery. Yeah, I did say that I'd just cover my experience of dealing with suicidal thoughts. Because there was someone I was speaking to yesterday who's in one of the fellowships, and they were saying that they felt at risk of doing something stupid. And there's a few people in recovery who've been like that lately. So what I'll share with you is the last time that I felt suicidal. So, or the last time that it was really bad, and that was not the New Year's Eve just gone. Although I was quite down then. New Year's Eve seems to be really hard for me since I've been in recovery. But the New Year's Eve before, I'd had a real bad dip with my mental health, and I had to take myself off to my mum's. I was supposed to be going out with friends to a bit of a do, and I couldn't go. And so I took myself off to my mum's to keep safe, and I just spent 3 days in bed, more or less face down, crying, and just felt suicidal, really bad. And through doing this IPS stuff, which I've mentioned, that I've just got a job in with the NHS, but it's been put on hold, obviously, because of what's going on. But I might be delivering some more of this intentional peer support for another NHS trust up near Newcastle via Zoom. But as I mentioned, it's about moving away from the clinical model of mental health and moving towards having conversations with each other and just exploring our mental health together. And one of the things that I got through doing the training was about, instead of thinking I feel suicidal or just describing it as I feel suicidal, it was more about what does that actually feel like for me. And usually for me, one of my core drivers from what I've found out through doing cognitive analytical therapy, one of my core drivers is abandonment and rejection, which stems from when my dad left when I was 2 and other issues that went on in my childhood. So my internal psyche feels comfortable being abandoned, so it's in a weird, sick, twisted way. So it's always sort of striving to get back to that familiar place, what it felt like when I was a child. Because if you have issues that happened before the ages of 7, like they say that you've probably heard that expression, give me a boy till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. And that's because the pathways that we make, the connections that we make in our minds and our brains, I'm not medically trained, so I might be using the wrong terminology here. I'm just saying it as I interpret it. The pathways and the connections that I've made to form my worldview and make sense of the world and stuff was quite distorted because of that lack of connection with parents and other stuff what went on as a child. So I have a distorted view of things, which I've worked very, very hard on myself, and I've come to terms with it a lot more since getting sober, because when your mind's boggled with booze and drugs, let's face it, you're not going to be able to improve yourself that much if your head's fogged up with chemicals. So since getting into recovery, I've been even more, worked on myself even more so, and things seem to have really sunk in and gelled and made sense. Whereas I'd tried for years before, and it was just like banging your head on a brick wall, really, because I was fogged up with chemicals. I mean, even like caffeine, that's a drug as well. I don't do caffeine anymore. Anything that I think affects me, my mental state, I try and stay away from. So I don't do caffeine anymore. So the last time I felt really suicidal, I did what I did with myself, what I'd learned in this IPS core training, and that was to explore what suicidal felt like to me. So not just going, I feel suicidal, because really what it was I didn't want to feel this way anymore. I could not stand the feelings that I felt. So much so that I just wanted it to stop. I wanted it to stop, and I didn't know how to make it stop. And the only thing that I could think of was, if I wasn't here anymore, then it would stop, which led me to, I feel suicidal. But if I was really, truly suicidal, then I would have gone and done it. But I didn't want to die, so I went and took, went and sought sanctuary at my mum's, where I knew I was safe. And it was really unpleasant for my mum, because I'm crying and I'm saying I'm suicidal and I'm saying I don't want to live anymore and I don't want to be here. And it's frustrating for my mum, because she's never struggled with her mental health. She understands more of my mental health because she's seen me deal with it over the years. So she's compassionate, but she doesn't get it because, she's never been there. She's never felt that. And it was funny because, so I'd started exploring, why is that I'm feeling this way? And it was that I felt abandoned, I'd felt rejected over something, I felt not good enough. And they're the things that really get to me, because of the things that I always felt as a result of my dad not being there for me, not wanting me in his life, not loving me. And, well, he might have loved me in his own way, but he never showed it to me. He never sent me birthday cards, he knew where I lived, never called, he had my number. So I always felt that real loneliness. And So as I was sat there feeling this, something came. So it was New Year's Eve, and my friend Funky, as I know him, Scott Enyon, a few of you might have remembered that he was on the news. It was 3 years ago on New Year's Day that he actually got on a coach, went down to Dover from Radcliffe, and walked off the cliffs and ended his life because he felt like I did. He felt that he just couldn't cope anymore with them feelings that, he suffered with PTSD from being in the army and the horrors that he saw in the war, and he just couldn't cope. And for anyone who doesn't understand what being suicidal's like, they just think it's selfish and how could they do that and blah blah blah. But for those of us who struggle with them feelings, it's very real. And at the time, you think you're doing your family and your friends a favour by not being there, because you can't see any other way. And I've attempted to take my own life twice, once at 14 and once at 41. And my mum's ended up at the hospital with me both times, and that must be quite horrific for me mum. And when I was still drinking, I relapsed and tried it, and my poor mum, well, she'd said to me, please, if you're going to have another drink, ring me and let me come round. So this one night I'd rang her up and I said, Mum, I'm going to have a drink, so you asked me to let you know if you want to come round. And she went, yeah, I'll come round. So I says, I'm going getting a drink. She went, I know. So I went to her house and she says, I've got a bottle of, I says, I'm going bargain booze for some wine. She went, I've got a bottle of wine here, you can have. And this is how I know I'm an addict as well, because I'd not had a drink for 30 days, and I went, I need 2. So I needed 2 bottles of wine before I've even took the lid off. And as soon as I'd necked them 2, I was straight back to bargain booze for another 2 bottles of wine. That night I was telling my mum I felt suicidal, and I think it were about another 30 days after that, because I did another 30 days without booze, and then I picked up again, and I said to me, my mum sort of like realised that I weren't in a good place via text. I was pissed basically, and I'd been messaging her. No, she'd been messaging me, see if I were okay, and I must have sent a bit of gobbledygook. So she came up to my house, and I can't remember this. She was there when I woke up in the morning, but I can't remember her coming. And she'd found me in bed, and sort of like said, oh, what you doing? And I was crying, and I said, I don't want to be here anymore, Mum. I just don't want to be here. I wish I were dead. I just don't want to be here. And my mum said to me, well, what am I going to do? If something happens to you, what am I meant to do? And I said, well, when you die, Mum, I'm going to kill myself anyway, because I've only got you. I says, so why don't we do it together now? I mean, imagine your daughter saying that to you, asking you to commit suicide with her. It must have been horrific, and I can't remember it. And that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I don't drink anymore, because it takes me down that really dark hole. And anyone who's drinking to excess at the moment, you need to be mindful of that, because you're not going to be in the best space. And after a point, the fun goes out of it, especially when you're home alone drinking. And you might be susceptible to them dark thoughts. Yeah, so that were 4 years ago, that, and I stopped drinking by going to the 12-step fellowships, and they supported me through. But going back to 2 years ago on New Year's Eve, and what I thought to myself, I thought, do you know what? I thought, if I feel like this next year, I'm going to do what Funky did. I thought, I'm going to get a coach and go down to Dover. I don't know why, it just seemed to appeal to me at that time, and I thought, and I'm going to walk off the cliffs. I don't know why, it just appealed to me, and it was probably because I was thinking about him as well, because it was the night before his anniversary. But something clicked in then. Now it might have been Funky, reaching out his hand to me, and from the spirit world. But something said to me, do you know what? That I can do that. I can make a deal with myself. So if this time next year I feel like that, that's what I'm going to do. And you know what? This, it lifted. The desire to commit suicide right at that moment lifted. And I realised that I only had to deal with today. And tomorrow I might wake up and feel totally different. But at that minute, the feelings were overwhelming. I just wanted to be dead. I didn't want to feel that shit anymore. I couldn't cope. I was crying. I was lost. I felt dark. I felt desperate. And right at that minute, a wave, as soon as I gave myself a way out, so, okay, I'm not going to do it today. But next year, if I feel like this, then I can do it. It gave me a way out, and I'm not suggesting for one moment that it'll work for everyone. It might not, but this is sort of how the 12-step fellowships work. They work on a 24-hour basis. So when you first get sober, or you first get clean from drugs, or you're first trying to manage your sex addiction, or your gambling, or whatever, the thought of never having a drink again or a drug, to me, was hell. I couldn't imagine it. But could I cope without it for 24 hours? Yeah. You can cope with anything for 24 hours. So by keeping it in the day, you get through. And one day turns into 2, turns into a month, turns into a year. And before you know it, I've done 4 years. And sometimes in the early days, especially when my dad died, not my stepdad, my real dad, when he died and I was only a month sober, I always remember a member of the fellowship, I was sat in a meeting crying my eyes out saying, you know, I've just been looking at my dad in his coffee and saying all the things that I wanted to say to him in life, like, why weren't you there for me? Why didn't you love me? Blah, blah, blah. And I was breaking my heart. And I went straight to a meeting because all I wanted to do was go and buy a bottle of vodka and just get smashed. But because I'd been to a couple of meetings, I'd only been to 2, but there were enough of a seed planted in here for me to know that it weren't the answer and that there were a solution to it. So I went to the meetings, and this lady, thank you, you know who you are, said to me from across the room, I'd done my sharing after the meeting, she said to me, she says, because I was just saying, all I want to do is I just want to pick up a drink or a drug to take this pain away. And I don't know what to do. And I was crying my eyes out. And she come up to me after the meeting and she went, it's 8:30 now. She said, in 3.5 hours, you've made it through another day. And I tell you what, that was like a real light bulb moment. It massively helped me. And it was weird. I clung on for them midnights. And as soon as I got to midnight, nothing had changed in my life. But I got to midnight and this big sigh of relief. I was like, I've made it through another day. I've made it through another day. It's crazy how it happens, but it works. So I applied that same principle to the suicidal thought, and it gave me a wave of relief. And I've had other people on the phone, suicidal, and I've shared that with them, and they've got something from it, and it's helped them. And the realisation that they've only got to get through today feeling suicidal. They've only got to get through these thoughts for one day, till the end of today, whether it be 1 hour left, 4 hours left, 12 hours left or whatever. We've just got to get through one day at a time. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, everything might be different. They might have found a vaccine by tomorrow for this COVID. But certainly that has helped me through many a suicidal thought. And it was weird because I met a girl out walking a dog. Before that thought ever come into my head 2 years ago, I met this girl dog walking, and she'd shared with me her struggles of mental health. And she told me that every day when she got up, she made a suicide pact with herself, and she made herself a plan of how she was going to do it if things got too much. And at the time, I just thought, what the frick? I just couldn't imagine how... I thought that must have been a real hell to live through every day. But that day at my mum's, when I realised that I had a get-out clause, that all I needed to do was not kill myself today, and tomorrow would take care of itself. wow, it were powerful. It gave me, something that nobody else could have. I gave myself freedom. I gave myself a way out, and it lifted immediately. And all of a sudden I went, I get it now. I get why that girl did it every day, because it helped her get through the day. It gave her a plan. It gave her a get out thing to cling on to. I mean, I don't have to do that, thankfully. And it's whatever works for each other. And I'm not advocating anything for anybody to do. All I'm doing is sharing how I've got through my own stuff, and about how people have shared stuff with me and I've shared it with them, and it's helped. It's helped people get through. So, yeah, I hope somebody got something from that. Sorry I've not been out hugging massive trees. Hey, look at this Buddha I got through my charity shop. Isn't it nice, that? £5. Love it. Yeah. Missing my charity shops now. I was proper addicted to them, so there's another thing that I need to work, that COVID's forcing me to work on. Charity shop addiction. Anyway, right now, I've ate all my birthday chocolates. I've still got some chili chocolate that I got from Lidl, that I'm working my way through. I'm going to try and not buy any chocolate once I've demolished it all. But, yeah, listen them birdies. Aren't they beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? Anyway, no doubt a lot of people are having a vino tonight, or a beer, or vodka, or whatever it is you have. It's Friday night, innit? I'm on my, what am I on? Sparkling spring water with some apple cordial in it at the minute. And I've got a bottle of this in the fridge. I forgot about that. I'll be having this now. What have I got? What was it? Oh, I've got a bottle of that. I forgot I got that. Oh, that's made me day. I'm going to get myself a nice glass out.